Welcome to Chopstick Travel. I'm Luke Martin, and today I'm in Bogor, Indonesia. This is a city just south of Jakarta, the capital, and I've come here to eat. This morning I've come to Chinatown here in Bogor. It's not really famous for its Chinese food, but instead the Bogor specialties can all be found along this street. So I'm going to be walking down the street, sampling all kinds of classic Bogor foods. It's going to be a great episode, so make sure you stay tuned until the end. Let's go eat some Indonesian food. Taking a quick stroll through the Bogor market, fresh market. You can see lots of meat, lots of veggies. All of the produce for the city is, most of it at least, is coming from this central market. Really bustling place, full of different ingredients. It's pretty hardcore, old school market. Looks like they've never ever washed or cleaned this place, ever. Okay, I'm heading to the first restaurant.
Oncom sauce from the fermented soy.
My first stop is this really authentic street food stall. It's just a little tent on the side of the road. It's called Toge Goreng Ibu Efon. So they're serving Toge Goreng. He starts by cutting up ketupat, that compressed rice cake, and then some tofu, and then he blanches some bean sprouts in this copper pot that he's got heated on wood fire, and then the bean sprouts go on top of that tofu and ketupat, and then he tops it with a ton of fermented soybean paste, and then a little bit of ketchup manis, and then sambal, and that's it. So I've got it right here. No meat in here. This sambal, he just kept it right in the spoon, so I'm gonna give it a little bit of a mix. And you can see a piece of tofu there, all those bean sprouts, the compressed rice cake, the ketupat. So there's noodles in there as well as the bean sprouts. He blanched them both together. Guys, bursting with flavor. That soybean paste is really dominating the flavor. It's a little bit spicy from the sambal too, and it's got a sweetness to it. It's a nice contrast between the crisp bean sprouts and then the really soft rice cake and tofu in there, but all the flavor is from that soybean paste, which is actually quite sweet. This spot is really the definition of street food stall, cooking with wood fire. This is nothing when his stall is gone. It's just a road, and then with just this little tarp over top, and then serving some really delicious, hearty, cheap eats. If you order for takeaway, he just wraps it up in a couple banana leaves. Really good for the environment, but then he puts it in a plastic bag, so it kind of defeats the purpose. Here at the stall, they're doing everything the traditional way, from the takeaway in the banana leaf to using a pipe to maintain that flame underneath to keep the temperature the right temperature. Really good food and such a cool stall. Just moving right along to the next spot here in Bogor. So as I was walking down the street, I spotted this guy with a little push cart selling something called Bir Kotjok. So it's not beer, but he calls it beer, and it's Kotjok means to shake. So what it really is like a ginger ale. So he uses a mixture of ginger, cinnamon, cloves, palm sugar, and then with the ice he just shakes it, and then pours it in a bag. Sticking with the ruining the environment theme, he puts it in a bag with a straw. So I'm gonna try it out. Really authentic, just a little push cart, and he's right outside of the Indomart, the convenience store here. Let me try out the ice Bir Kotjok. Oh my gosh, so sweet. Wow. Yeah, so most drinks here in Indonesia are gonna be really sweet. You're gonna wanna ask for less sugar, but the flavor of the ginger in there, really refreshing. You can taste the cinnamon and cloves, a little bit of spiciness. And it's definitely nice and cold, but a little bit too sweet for me. So the owner here, his father started this business in 1965, selling this exact same drink. He used to have it on one of the yokes, the things that you carry on your shoulder, but now he's got it on this push cart. And I wouldn't totally recommend if you are not seasoned street food eater, or you haven't traveled in Asia much, to have too many drinks on the street with ice like that. But he's been around since 1965, so I think I'm gonna be okay. I hope I'm gonna be okay. The nice thing about Bogor is that this one street, the Chinatown, has all the famous stops. So really close to the last stop, I've just come to Soto Mie Bogor Pakumis. So they're serving Soto Mie, which is like a noodle soup. I'm gonna go in and try it out. Really like all the colorful decor on the front. The Soto Mie here in Bogor consists of two types of mie, so two types of noodles. Bak mie, the egg noodle, and then bihun, the thin rice noodle, and a little bit of cabbage that he blanches and then puts into the bowl. Next up, he chops up some really crunchy spring rolls. It's just a flour spring roll. And then he puts in some sliced tomato, and then the meat. I ordered just beef. You can also order it with skin. Then he puts a little bit of parsley with green onions, and then on top of that the ketchup manis, the sweet soy sauce, and then in comes the rich red broth where all that flavor is going to come from, and then it's topped with just some fried shallots. So that is the famous Soto Mie here in Bogor. Let's go try it out. This is the final result. Beautiful bowl of Soto Mie. You can see all the different ingredients in there. There's that little spring roll, there's some meat, the two types of noodles, and you can and should dress it with some sambal, but I'm just going to try some of the broth with a little bit of the meat first for my first bite before I dress it up. Oh, that is lovely. It's a really clear, clean, healthy tasting broth. You can taste those fried shallots in there. You get a really strong flavor of the fried shallots. I'm gonna go in for some sambal here. So nice, beautiful looking sambal. Go for one big scoop in the middle. Give it a mix. And there's a lot going on in this bowl. Really sloppy, ugly, delicious bowl of noodles. And also go for some lime here. Whoa. The two types of noodles is a really good addition. It's nice to have the contrast in textures there with a little bit of spiciness now from the sambal, but it's really a healthy tasting broth. Not oily, not greasy at all. Really delicious. I love it. Let me try one of these kind of soggy now spring rolls. Still got a crunch to it. There's all kinds of things in here. Tomato. Oh, that is a beautiful bowl of noodles. I love it. Killer bowl of noodles. That is exactly how I want my noodles. And you could dress it with the spicy sambal and the lime. It's just so satisfying. And keep going on this food tour here in Bogor. Oh, it's also so cheap. Only 15,000 per bowl. So super, super cheap. Let's go. I I think Bogor is the perfect place for a walking food tour if you want to have a food tour one day when you're on your trip to Jakarta, because it's easy to get to. You just take the train to the last stop is Bogor, and then you can just walk down this street. It's really simple and there's tons of good spots. All the information for the places I visited today will be down in the description box. The amount of street food, like legit street food on carts, stalls that are movable here in Indonesia might be the most in the world I've seen. Well, India is another big one, but wow, I'm really just impressed at how much street food. It's just never ending while you walk along the sidewalk. Just to give you an idea of how much street food is available on the sidewalks here in Bogor, this is a cow's mouth salad that you can get, and then right over here there's a grilled corn salad, and then right behind me you've got dessert. This is martabak.
For the toge.
Next stop on my Bogor food tour is for laksa, the Singaporean favorite, but this is not Singaporean laksa. This is Indonesian laksa. So it's similar, it's a curry noodle, and she puts an egg on top. She uses just a little string to cut the egg, which is quite cool. And this is a really authentic stall. Once again, chickens out on the street and just a few stools on the other side of the road. Sitting down now with my laksa, and like I mentioned, a very popular dish in Singapore, but feels like I'm in another world completely than Singapore, sitting on the streets of Bogor here with chickens running around my feet. But this bowl of laksa certainly looks delicious. It's a coconut milk with turmeric base broth. There's bihun, the noodles in there. There's ketupat, the compressed rice cake, tofu, there's lemon basil in there, the egg, and then a little bit of toasted grated coconut on top, and it just looks like such a milky, thick broth. Oh, and also another important ingredient is that fermented soy. You can see that little hint of red in there. That's a fermented soy, so that's going to give a lot of flavor as well. With that lemon basil in there, such a fresh, citrusy flavor, really creamy coconut broth, strong coconut flavor too, because you have both the coconut milk broth and the toasted grated coconut on top there. It's a really thick, rich broth. Definitely leaning on the sweet side though. This tofu is just bright yellow from the turmeric. I love the lemon basil in there. That's really good. Besides the lemon basil in there and the coconut, the other dominant flavor is the oncom, which is the fermented soy. This beats any Singapore laksa that I've had, to be totally honest with you. Sorry Singaporeans, but you gotta come try this place out.
Ayam, ayam, ayam.
Next up, I'm at this little stall called Lumpia Basa. It's just a tiny little green stall on the side of the road. She's using charcoal to make the filling for lumpia, which is a spring roll. So it's a fresh spring roll, it's not fried. And she's using a little weave fan to keep that charcoal heat going. Really tight quarters here. The filling for the lumpia mainly consists of some fried garlic, eggs, pickled jicama, and some bean sprouts, and then it's wrapped up in a flour dough wrapper. So it's not like a Vietnamese spring roll in a rice paper or anything. It's actually just in this kind of bouncy dough, similar to a Taiwanese spring roll but smaller, and then served in this little banana leaf. Let me try it out. Ooh. I don't love it, that's for sure. It tastes like there's definitely some dried fish or dried shrimp in there. Maybe it's shrimp paste. It's really overpowered with that fish flavor. Crunchy pickled jicama, but really traditional spring roll. But yeah, I don't love it, to be totally honest with you. That's the only thing today that I tried that wasn't amazing. There is so much to try here. I probably sampled less than 1% of the stalls that are available to try street food here in Bogor, but definitely check it out on your next trip to Jakarta. It's just about an hour and 20 minutes south of the city. Easy train ride. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. It was a really big day of eating just along this one strip. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the bell icon so you're notified, and I'll see you guys on the next episode of Chopstick Travel. Bye. And then topped with a little bit, I missed one, with green onions, and then, man, I got the order where all that flavor is gonna come from. Oh no, I forgot another. Man. Bye.